Hello and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Skull and Bones and we're going to be doing a ship ranking guide. So I'm going to be going through, I've tested all the ships, well not all, I'll show you one that has been added to the game but I haven't unlocked yet. I will show it to you, or as much of it as I can, but I haven't actually played with it yet, but I do know what it's intended for. So we'll talk about that a little bit, but it won't officially make my ranking because I haven't been able to use it yet. But with all that in mind, let's get on into it and start ranking these ships from worst to best. So starting us off at number 10, I feel like we have a fairly obvious place, and it's the Dhow. It's the first one you start with. It's basically a tiny little boat. Not a whole lot to say. It has no weapons. It's extremely slow. It can't carry a lot of cargo. If you hit a rock hard enough, you'll sink it. It's obviously not meant to be a main vessel in the game, so it should not be surprising at all that it's the worst. That being said, it's the only one you can fish from, which is a huge gameplay flaw. I haven't found a video where I wanted to, or where I could fit in the complaint, so I'm just going to put it in here. You should not have to use this ship to try and fish. They try to make fishing, or like hunting down sharks or crocodiles or whatever, they try to make that a gameplay element in this game. I am never going to do it, because I'm not going to switch to this stupid little ship and sail it all the way to where I need to go to hunt these crocodiles or whatever. That's not going to happen. It's an extremely stupid gameplay design. The developer that thought of that should be fired. They should just have an option to engage in where you park your regular ship, you anchor your ship, and you then get into a small boat and hunt. You know, kind of like the whale hunting in Black Flag. It wasn't broken. Why on earth would you fix it? This ship sucks. It takes the number 10 spot. And number 9, it should also probably not be too much of a surprise that we have the Hulk. This one is the Defender. It is just not a great ship when you look at it. It's got, I mean, obviously it's an upgrade over the Sandbook in some ways, but I still think I prefer the Sandbook, and considering you get that one basically just by story progression, and this one you actually have to put work into to try and get it, you know. It's slow. It can't carry a whole lot of cargo. It has the Ironclad perk. That's the only thing it has going for it because, you know, if you brace for impact, it actually has very, very high survivability for all of these small class ships. But the Hulk just as itself doesn't stand out against any of the other small ships, at least not in my opinion. So if you're putting the effort into trying to get one and to try to make it good for when you're in that stage where you're using small ships, the Hulk is the worst out of the small options. So that is why it takes the number 9 spot. At number 8, we have the Badar. Also, I believe it's named the Rammer. This one is the first one you'll get after your Dhow. Like I said, you'll get this one primarily just from the story missions. I like this one more than I like the Hulk, and there's only a couple reasons to that. One, like I said, you don't actually have to put any work into it, so it's automatically better for that because you just get it through story progression. And 2, I actually like the way this one looks. I like the collapsible kind of Chinese style sail. That's cool looking. And it's also just, it serves its purpose. If you put the, you know, best parts and everything possible onto it, it actually becomes pretty decent in the starting area. It's fast, it's agile. Yeah, it doesn't carry a whole lot of cargo or have a whole lot of hull health, but it does have the Lancer perk, which isn't as good as the one that you'll get on the Brig much later, but it does make it a pretty good ramming ship, which is better for my full frontal giggity assault style that I like to use with this ship. So that's why I put the Badar. Like I said, that and the fact that you don't actually have to put any effort into it, you just get it by default. So it, you know, is automatically going to be the more convenient option. So that's why this one takes the number 8 spot. At number 7, we have the Cutter, which is named the Sentinel. This one is, out of all of the small ships, it's the second best. This one is the only clear upgrade from the Badar, in my opinion, until we get to the last one, which is obviously just significantly better than all the rest of the small ships. The Cutter is fast. I like the way it looks. It's actually one of the first ones with a pretty cool looking sail rigging, at least from a Western shipbuilding perspective. Like I said, it's fast and nimble. Yeah, it doesn't carry a lot of cargo, and it only has the Unburden perk, which isn't particularly great. The only major reasons why the Cutter can be a pretty solid ship is it's currently the only support ship, and now that's changing with this new ship that was added. But as of launch, up until the point where you unlock that new ship from the season pass that's going on right now, it's the only support ship, so it's specifically designed to help other ships in combat. So you equip this with healing weapons, and it works pretty well on a team. That being said, because it's so small, and even if you put as much, you know, the best armor and stuff you can on it, it doesn't hold up well against any medium ships. So the Cutter is a upgrade over the Badar and the Hulk, and of course the Dhow, but other than that, unless you're using it in the health specific role, it's not that great. Next up, we have the Sloop, otherwise known as the Blaster. Now this this one, I would have probably ranked at the next spot if it wasn't for how goofy it looks. So I like the Sloop stat-wise. I think out of all the small ships, most people might put it at number 1. I don't. I put it, obviously at the penultimate spot for the small ships. But it is a decent enough ship. It's got 3 weapon slots, so your front and your sides. It doesn't have a rear slot, which is one thing I don't like about it. You can put furniture and stuff on it. It's relatively useful. I like the outburst perk. It's good if you're going for an explosive type damage. Just honestly, the Sloop isn't as good as the best small ship, and that's why I took this spot. And like I said, it also looks kind of goofy because they decided to make a Sloop, which is iconically a very low to the water, long, narrow ship. They made it this short, fat ship, which I get a kick out of. So that's the Sloop. So coming in right in the middle at number 5, we have the Barge, which is also known as the Firebrand. Now this may surprise people why this one takes place over the Sloop, but honestly, it's a significantly better ship. So if you're still in the small ship stage and you're trying to upgrade from the Badar to one of the small ships, I would just wait until you can get the Barge, because if you do it right, you can actually make it pretty dang solid. It makes it into a pretty solid ship. So this one is a DPS ship, so it's focused on that aggressive assault damage type build. What makes it so good is the wildfire perk. So it says applying the ablaze effect to a ship will apply the same effect to all enemies in a radius of 125 meters, increases weapon damage by 20%, burning damage increases ablaze charge speed by 150%. Aside from that, it's also got pretty dang good perks, or stats, some of the best out of the small class. It has all sides for weapon options, so front, sides, and back, and 3 furniture slots. So you can really do a lot to make this very effective, especially if you're using a lot of fire-based weaponry, because with that wildfire perk, you can deal a ton of damage, especially in groups, using fire damage weapons. So the Barge is the best of all the small ships. Don't at me. Coming in at number 4, we have, and this one was tough for me to do because I absolutely love the way this ship looks. It's my favorite as far as appearances go. Out of all the ships currently available in the game, this one is my favorite, but it is the Snow, of course. And the problem with this one, like I said, I love the appearance of it. It's just stat-wise, it doesn't hold up against the other medium ship options, especially for specialized builds. So like I said, what this one definitely has going for it is looks. It's the best looking ship in the game easily. It's a tank type, which is good. If you're running a team currently in the game, it's great to have as high a level as possible Snow with you because of that tank ability and how good it is at bracing. It's really great that this ship will draw fire, and so your other ships can focus on being nimble and dealing damage, while this one just has to focus on surviving in the fight. So it is good to have one on your team, but as your solo ship, it's not as good because your DPS is lower and your top speed is significantly lower. So I do like this one, like I said, and it has a great cargo capacity of 80,000. That's the other major good thing about this one. But the trimming speed on this one's only 13 knots, so it's actually pretty dang slow compared to the other medium ships. It does, of course, have full options, so you've got guns all the way around, including the auxiliary weapon. It only has 4 furniture slots, but, that's better than all the small ships. So it's definitely significantly better than all the small ships, but as far as all the medium ships goes, unfortunately, I have to put it at the lowest spot for them, which is number 4. Coming in at number 3, we have the Petawaking, which, interestingly, this one is, you'll get this one before you get the Snow, so as unfortunate as that is for most people, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to build the Snow, unless you're like me and you just want them all. This one, like I said, it's just a better ship because it's a DPS ship, so if you're solo adventuring, you're not playing as a team, it doesn't make any sense to go purely for a tank ship because you need to be able to deal the damage yourself, and so the Petawaking is just better at it than the Snow is. This one has the detonate perk, which again, if you're going to try to use this one as effectively as possible, you're going to want to use as many weapons that deal explosive damage as possible. This one has less cargo space than the Snow, but it's better in pretty much every way. Every other way, our trimming speed is 1 knot higher. Brace strength and hull health are still pretty dang good, so all good there. Again, full weapon options, so you can do all sides and an auxiliary weapon. This one also has 4 furniture slots. So like I said, the Petawaking and the Snow are very, very similar. The difference is because the Petawaking is a DPS ship and the Snow is a tank ship, if you're solo adventuring, the Petawaking is a better option than the Snow. And I also don't hate the way it looks. I think it looks alright. It's very, very similar in style. Really, it's just the sail rigging that is significantly different between these two ships. So I don't hate that I had to place the Petawaking higher than the Snow. I just, I wish it weren't so. But that's number 3. At number 2, our runner-up is the Sambuck, and this one is actually the last one that that most people will unlock in the game because it requires you to have 5,000 pieces of 8 to unlock the schematic and then another 1,500 for one of the ship ingredients. It's a solid ship. As far as DPS goes, this one, if you equip it effectively, this is currently the highest DPS ship in the game. So it's going to be a lot like the barge in that we're going for that fire type thing. This one has the scorched perk, so it's just a better version of the wildfire one. So again, if you're trying to maximize your DPS with this ship, you're going to want to really play into any fire damage weapons. It does have full weapon slots, so all the way around. It has 5 furniture slots, so it's the step up from the snow and the paddle walking. And like I said, as far as DPS goes, you can't really compete with the sandbook. The only reasons that I don't put it at number 1, and I do have a couple. One thing, its speed is the 11 knots and the 14 knots for trimming speed. It's basically the same as the paddle walking. It's slower, and that's the thing. A big part of playing this game solo is speed. It's not so much raw power. Now, mind you, if you're playing as a team, or if you're specifically like trying to assault a difficult enemy or a fort or something like that, then yeah, definitely use your sandbook. I would have this one fully loaded up, best armor, best weapons possible, all fire-based, and then you use it for those specific missions. But it's not my general purpose ship. It's not the one that I like to use when I'm, just out and about gathering pieces of 8 or whatever, hunting down specific resources or something like that. That's why I had to put it at the number 2 spot, because even though stat-wise it's the best DPS ship in the game and you can use it for a lot of stuff, it is slower and it just doesn't compete that way. Plus, I don't like the way it looks as much as the one at number 1. So I'm basing the reasoning for the ranking just on stats. Don't let the look thing fool you. That's just an extra note. Speed is the big reason why I put the number 1 at the number 1 spot. So that's the Firestorm, or I should say the Sandbook at number 2. Let's move on to number 1. And of course at number 1, this should really surprise nobody for a couple reasons. One, because most people know it's the best ship in the game, and number 2, it's the only one that I haven't ranked yet. It's the Brigantine. This one, it makes sense that they would make this one as iconic as they do, since this game is based on Black Flag, and that's the class of ship that you use in there. It had to take the number 1 spot. Now that being said, I find it interesting that the Brigantine actually looks more like a sloop, definitely than the sloop in this game does, but also more than it looks like a Brigantine. So that's all interesting. But this would basically be the smallest class of warship you would see in most navies at this time. Now that's not all the way true. There are some other ships that would compete, but the Brigantine is basically where you cross over from what was commonly used as a merchant or a shipping ship or something like that to a warship. And now these were meant to be nimble, fast, but still also be powerful. So they were meant to project power. And this one is just an excellent ship. It's a DPS class, and so like I said, it's not as good as the Sandbook for dealing raw damage as fast as possible, but you can still do a lot with this one, and if you use it aggressively in a forward attack style with the Bullhorn perk and you ram your enemy, then it can compete very, very effectively with the Sandbook. But you do have to be encompassing that. If you're staying at a distance and using artillery or bombards, then the Sandbook is significantly better. This one, the big advantage is just the speed. Like I said, the regular speed of this one's 12 knots. That's just slightly slower than the trimming speed of the next fastest 2 or 3 ships. Its trimming speed is 18 knots. That's so much faster. It's not even close. That's what makes this one by far the clear and obvious victor in this in the ship ranking currently. Like I said, we do have full weapon options all the way around, and auxiliary, of course, armor, and then of course 5 furniture slots. So you can really dominate with the ship. Like I said, raw DPS, the Sandbook is better, but for just basic average gameplay, the Brigantine takes the cake every single time. So it was obviously the one I had to put at number 1. Now the only other thing to consider is the new ship that's being added to the game with this current season pass that's going on, and it's called the Barque, I believe is how you pronounce that. It is the new support ship. So I don't know if they always intended to release this one here, and that's why there wasn't one in the medium class, but this one appears to be a medium class ship, so it will be more comparable with the Brigantine, the Snow, that type of ship, but it's meant specifically as a support vessel. So it says, and it even comes like in the season pass, there's a cosmetic schematic that will, or a cosmetic set that will help you play into that healer role. You can see a bunch of crosses all over the ship. So I'm excited to try this one out once I get to it. I don't love the design of it, the aesthetic, because it's got like this crane on the back and everything. So like I said, if you want to set this one up specifically as a healer and only use it if you're trying to play the healer role, that makes sense. I don't know how good it's going to be for solo exploration. So I'm not ranking this one because I haven't been able to try it. I think it looks relatively cool. I like the Western style rigging on it, and I like that they're making a medium class healer. What I was hoping for, because I knew there'd be a new ship in this season pass, I was hoping for a frigate or a man-of-war or something along those lines. You know, but to be fair, we do have plenty of DPS ships in the game and even a medium-class tank. It makes sense that they put a medium-class support ship in. So that is all the ships ranked. Hopefully at some point I'll get my hands on this one and be able to see what we can actually do with it. But that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.